The Lord's Prayer is the most recited prayer in the highest number of languages in human history. Even today, across the world today, a bunch of people said the Lord's Prayer in Spanish, Swahili, Mandarin, Arabic. The most repeated prayer in the most diverse amount of languages to ever exist in human history. It has been used since the first Jesus community, since the first churches were started. One of the earliest documents that kind of gives us a picture into the church was written in the early 100s. It's called the Didache. And what it means is the teaching, but it's one of the earliest documents that we know about what church life was like. They assumed that everybody knew the Lord's Prayer, and they said, hey, you should pray it 3 times a day. That's how important it is. There is an assumed spiritual benefit of praying this prayer often. It also has been used as a guide for learning about prayer since the early church. The great reformer, Martin Luther, he had a barber, and his barber said, Martin Luther, how do I pray? And what Martin Luther proceeded to do was to instruct him from the Lord's Prayer, to show him how to pray. And so, since Jesus gave us this prayer, and it's been used in his churches, we need to learn about it. It'll transform the way that we approach God and to help us to pray in such a way that he honors. So we're going to take it in small chunks, y'all. We're going to look at this part, our Father in heaven. We're going to think about that. What's interesting is how we address God sets the stage and the tone and the expectations of our prayer life. One theologian once said, the most important thing about you is what you think about God. Because what you think about God is going to determine how or even if you approach him. So when we go to prayer, the most important thing that we think is our conception of God. And in this first part of the prayer, Jesus is giving us a picture of how we ought to see and how we ought to approach God. We learn that we ought to come to the God who is our Father, who is all-powerful, caring, and reliable.